In this particular video, what I want to cover with you is some of the downsides of property investing. Okay, it's very easy for me to tell you all the rah-rah and all the pomp and yes, it'll make you lots of money. What are the downsides though? Okay, I'm going to run through a few in just a minute. The key thing to remember is every business has downsides. Everything you do in life will have some potential downsides. What's important is to understand them clearly, put in place plans that deal with them, and be prepared to deal with them if you need to. Okay, and by planning that through, it makes the whole thing a lot more relaxed and a lot easier. Okay, rather than randomly dealing with it when it comes up. So you'll see from the slide that's just come up on the screen, there are a number of different downsides listed here. So you've got boilers breaking, roofs blowing off, things breaking in the property. Okay, let's deal with that one first. You need a contingency fund. It's absolutely crucial to run this as a business, to have a contingency fund with about £3,000 in it that is there for emergencies. That £3,000 contingency will normally work with anybody who's got 1 to 5 properties. It's there for emergencies. It will actually grow. If you follow the correct rules and recruit the right tenants, that will be growing and becoming bigger. But run it separately from your main account. Run your rents into the contingency fund, run your costs out of it, and you'll see it grow over time. You'll see it getting bigger. But if then the boiler does break, it's not affecting your finances, it's coming from the contingency fund. It's not causing you stress and pressure. Yes, you're unhappy the boiler's broken. Yes, you're unhappy there's problems with the roof. But it's a business, it's part of the cost, it's part of the 10-year plan. During a 10-year stint, the boiler will break at some point. The roof tiles will come off. A tenant will trash your property. But your contingency fund will deal with it. Okay. The next point on the slide, you get a tenant that doesn't pay. Okay. If a tenant knows exactly what they're doing, i.e. they're planning not to pay, and they know exactly what they're doing, it can take up to 4.5 months to get them out of your property. That is your worst case scenario. Okay. That's premeditated. I'm going to move in this property and not pay. You need to understand the processes for dealing with that, which are Section 8 and Section 21. But you don't actually need to understand them yourselves. There's some great websites, www.riky.co.uk. For a £70 a year membership, they provide you with all the rules and procedures that you can follow. They provide you with free online and free telephone advice from a solicitor at the other end of the phone for these instances. You can tap into the resource that we have. You can tap into other resources that are around you or in property networks or clubs that you could join. So you don't need to know these rules inside out. You just need to be prepared to deal with them when the time comes up. Again, in a 10-year plan, at some point you'll get a tenant who doesn't pay. You might be unlucky and it's after 3 months. It might be after 9.5 years. Okay. In our properties, we get tenants that don't pay, however good we are at tenanting them. Okay. So just be prepared that that's going to happen. Again, the contingency fund will plan for that. If your property is cash flowing a profit of £100 a month even after maintenance, you're growing money up. So if you have a couple of months where it's empty or they're not paying, which you shouldn't have, but if you do have, it will cover for it. Okay. The next one on the slide, okay, is that you can't rent out the property. Now, if you've followed the rules correctly and you've done your testing before you bought it, you really shouldn't have this problem. If you're having this problem with a current property that you already own, I would seriously suggest that you review whether you keep it in your portfolio. It may feel okay at the moment, but if you're always going to struggle to tenant it, why not get rid of it and replace it with a good one? It might cost a few thousand to do that, but then you've got one in the bank for the future that is always easier to tenant. Okay. So we've made mistakes in the past where we've held on trying and struggling with a property and we keep getting high turnover and we're never getting paid for it. And when you analyse the stats on it over a period of 2 or 3 years, it really hasn't made you any money at all. It's made you loss and it's eating into your other profits. So get rid of that property and replace it with a profitable one. If you buy following the rules, you shouldn't have that issue. Okay. Worst case, again, the contingency is there to buffer for this. The next point, the market goes down, you can't release money. Okay. We're using a strategy or recommending a strategy where as the market goes up, we increase the borrowing. In the last 3 years, we're sat in 2010 now, people haven't been able to use that strategy to release money. So people haven't been having chunks of money come out and be released. don't plan on being able to do that every single year. Don't have a reliance that means you can only live off that money. If this is your pension planning, something like that, when you have the big years, you don't overspend, you just spend your plan. So if your plan is you've got 6 properties and it's 30,000 a year, spend the 30,000 each year, but if you have bigger years, bank the spare cash, because you'll have years where you can't release as well. Okay, but overall as an average, we've worked the averages here on 5 or 6%. On average it goes up a lot quicker than that, and therefore you'll be releasing more money. But bank the difference, just have it there, put it in a contingency fund, let that grow big. Okay, so the strategy works as an average, you've got to bear that in mind. Okay, you get some momentum behind you. The last one you'll see on the slide is that you get attracted to different types of property investment. Again, I covered this on the rules slide just now. There's nothing wrong with exploring new areas, there's nothing wrong with making money from different areas in property, but learn and understand them before you invest in them or use experts in that area. Again, the quickest way to lose money that you're making is to just put it into something you don't know fully about. It doesn't take a great deal of time to learn about a certain area in property. There's so much resource, so much on the internet, so many property investors that will do free talks, property groups in each town. Please use that resource and please learn about the area before you invest in it. Okay. The bottom line, as it says on the bottom of the slide, is have a plan and stick to it. So have a plan, work towards your goals, have those goals, and then you will not get unstuck by these problems. As long as you've built the problems into the plan, you've got that contingency there, you will find that the downsides can be dealt with. And you'll find when you hear the next horror story down the pub, you'll be able to sit there and think, actually the reason they've had that problem is because they didn't have this in their plan, or they didn't plan in this way. Again, I hope that's been beneficial, and I hope you're enjoying the videos.